Today's matchup. Cure. DRG. GuMiho. Solar. Round of 8. Ro.8. Africa TV, Freak Up Studio, live. 2023 GSL Season 3.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're free from the chains of TVZ, at least for now. GuMiho versus Cure, Terran versus Terran is coming up next after that. DRG versus Solar, our Zerk versus Zerk. We will close the night out in a TVZ no matter what, though, so don't worry. We're going to go back into that matchup and continue to unpack the role of the Cyclone. Maybe we'll see if Cure has any new crazy builds if he loses to GuMiho here now. But, you know, the Cyclone pre-patch, I think, played the biggest role, actually, in TVT. There were a lot of different rushes and defenses that were centered around the Cyclone. And there may be new rushes and, I don't know, maybe even new defenses centered around the new Cyclone now.
Yeah, it mixes things up quite a bit in terms of the early openings. And haven't gotten too much of a chance to see players on the LAN like GuMiho and Cure of their caliber. I feel like GSL is really the first truly major tournament to take place on the new patch with the new maps. But both these players, if you want to understand TVT, these guys are at the top of their game. Cure has been so solid all around, and GuMiho, I was even surprised. I thought he might have won one of the GSL seasons earlier this year. He was in such good form. I was hearing that a lot of pros were afraid of playing him in TVT. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but historically he's looking good. Let's see if he's going to look good against Cure here as we start the winners match of Group A.
GuMiho. Cure.
So I've been very curious about TVT in general with the new patch. And I think we've got two excellent guinea pigs with different play styles to kind of see how they play against each other, how they interact.
I feel like this is about as good as it's going to get. GuMiho and Cure for this GSL at least. Cure has been such a good up-and-coming player for so long now in terms of his skill, rising from GSL season to GSL season. And GuMiho, as you said, I mean, he's always been such a wild card. Even dating back to his very beginnings in StarCraft 2, he used to play random, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Wasn't he random in like the first GSL that he played in or something like that?
I think it was GSL 2.
GSL 2.
It was the second GSL we had, but yeah, he was the one guy who was random that qualified. You know, honestly, I know we all know that random's a thing if we ladder, but it's easy to forget you could even actually do that.
Yeah. No one's really able to do it at a pro level these days.
The rules with Star Leagues are always you have to pick a race and play the race through that you entered in. And this was an old idea that was built out in like very early StarCraft 1 because they had issues where people would try to change races. And then it was like, well, who picks what? Or like if you rock, paper, scissors, and then like that guy gets the race pick against you. So they made that decision early on. And I think it's better for the brand of the player where it's like, no, which one do you play? Like, or what are you going to win the tournament with? You can't just like pick based off map or matchup or player. I feel like a lot of people on Reddit and other places found this out much later on when they found out other players that wanted to play and couldn't race pick. But it's been around forever. So yeah, for him to do random, he had to like show up with random the whole way through.
Yeah, and to qualify with it, he had to play every single tournament match with it.
Exactly.
He could not go back to Terran. GuMiho actually coming out with a concussive shell Marauder opening off of a fast expansion.
And just to close that idea out, and that's why it was crazy when Flash came back in ASL and won with random.
Yeah.
He was random the whole way through.
I mean,
From start to finish. We need to get Maru to do that.
I just feel bad for everybody that had to play against Flash as random, and he randoms Terran.
Yeah, no, that happened a couple times where I'm like, oh my god, that's right. You could random into Terran, and now it's Flash with an advantage. This is horrible. And it happened a lot.
I wonder if we will ever get any StarCraft 2 players try to do that again at the pro level. I know that Clem in Europe, I think he probably has the best off race. His Protoss off race is like top 16 on GM, I think pretty much always. I think it's the MMR, this is hazy, so I might be wrong, guys, but I think he's like 6.3K or something absurd.
So crazy. You're like that good with one race, and you're like, also.
Yeah, when I actually started like playing StarCraft 2 again quite often and learning builds, I was watching Clem's games as Protoss to learn from him. That's how good Clem is with everything. And by the way, I just want to go for the record here. GuMiho is still building Marauders. This is kind of a crazy build that I was not expecting. And I wonder if this is him trying to blind counter the Cyclones a little bit, because they can't really kite the concussive shell, I don't think. I haven't really seen this interaction in a TVT just yet.
If you cover the IDs up, you're like, oh, wow, GuMiho's red Cyclones are coming out on the map. But actually, back at home, it's going to be a lot of Stim Marauders. Now, Stim's not done yet, right?
No, I think it's just concussive shell. Yeah, Stim's about 75% done. The 5th or the 6th Marauder is about to enter the field. And we'll see this initial engagement. All right, here we go. Marauders versus Cyclones. How does this one go? I guess you can't just slow them down enough. And the Cyclones actually doing surprisingly well here. I thought this would be much better for GuMiho than...
All you need is one shot to connect.
One shot kill guarantees the kill pretty much. But I honestly thought that would be a better trade for GuMiho. I'm not ashamed to admit that I haven't seen a lot of concussive shell Marauder versus Cyclone openings clash on the new patch.
It does seem like if you had just one of the other Marauders like fork a shot off and hit the other Cyclones, you're slowing down 2 at a time.
It's so tough though.
I know. It's like, it's one of those things you can say it and it's easier, but to try to actually do it, not so much. Another push comes out here. This time Cure moving down, chasing out the Cyclone of GuMiho.
Oh, now here with this, with a almost let's set a stimmed medevac. I guess that basically is what it turns into when you boost. With a medevac with speed, that does kind of change the math a little bit, because that plus stim, you're able to chase down these units. Cure does not have a medevac to lift anything up, so he's going to need a siege tank to anchor the position, and indeed it does, but...
Almost feels like Cure's moving in maybe too soon. Doesn't feel very safe, but hold on. GuMiho insta-picks up. Is this impulsive or is this genius? Cure is pulling away. I don't believe Cure had any idea that there was a pickup, although we do see GuMiho scan the path that way, that Cure would head back home to defend, and instead he goes in for an intercept.
Oh, this is so sick by GuMiho. He's going to get a siege tank for that.
This is really good.
What an awesome play. And now GuMiho can kind of just pivot around the map and try and find another angle to get some harassment done, and behind this, he's going for a 3rd command center. This is cool. I was not expecting macro Marauder openings in TVT, but it does make sense now seeing the way they interact with a Cyclone and what you're able to get done against pushes like this, because he's going to get another depot too. There's just a lot of damage coming through. Well, actually disables on both the medevacs, so these will in fact get cleaned up. Some quick thinking there from Cure.
Really nicely done by Cure, honestly. I mean, he's held this off pretty nicely, but GuMiho gets his expansion up and running. You know, when there's that much action on that side of the map, you don't have a whole lot of time to, recover and respond. And GuMiho's going to stay active on the map. He's going to move out again. It does seem like Cure's traded a little bit better.
I think that last trade was good for him, but keep in mind, GuMiho was able to pick off a good number of Cyclones. That's a lot of production time on the factories. And he got that siege tank, and he's going to get even more Cyclones here. The Marauder's actually trying to stim forward and get the additional Cyclone, and in fact it does. I would love to see the units lost tab right now here for GuMiho, as I feel like it's absolutely in his favor. Now, Cure does have these Ravens and 3 siege tanks, so with Interference Matrix, he should be able to push GuMiho out of this position, but GuMiho is instead going to go to the main base, and there is not a lot here to defend. That 3rd missile turret was not yet completed, and now there's stimmed bio here in the main base. That siege tank about to pop might get sniped depending on how it rallies out.
Yeah, really nice auto turrets, but GuMiho pulls away. Continuing to dish out a decent amount of damage. The 2 medevacs here still alive, so if he needs to pick up, he can pull away and do that. Really good control here. 7 infantry already killed off. It looks like the last medevac doesn't get out, so no more threats there in the main, but the 4th base is coming down, and It is true, man. Sometimes the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah, Cure hasn't been able to get really anything done on GuMiho's side of the map this entire time. And although GuMiho, that wasn't a very militarily efficient trade, he did lose 2 medevacs and a fair number of bio units there, trying to get that harassment done in the main base. He's at the 74 SCVs now, so the 58 workers of Cure. And if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think Cure has a 4th command center on the way. I'm looking at the mini-map. I don't see anything boxy enough to be a CC, so GuMiho just playing a very harassment and macro-oriented style. And I gotta say, if the names were covered right now, I would totally think that it was GuMiho on the defensive, trying to make Cyclones and Siege Tanks work, and Cure playing this aggressive macro bio style, but instead it's the opposite. And now GuMiho, he has some cost-inefficient trades with his army, but look at this, what he's been able to macro up with this overpowering eco he has set up back at home.
Yeah, you're completely right, State. It really looks like, it's like that movie Face Off, right, where they change faces, and this time it's GuMiho's face versus Cure. Like, this is crazy. The fact that we've got, oh, hold on, another big attack comes in. Cure gonna drive GuMiho away. Yeah, but the fact that it was Cure going for a bunch of Cyclones out here, and it was GuMiho trying to maneuver around and a coward counter that.
With Marauders of all units.
Yeah.
Now, the one big advantage that Cure has in these engagements is interference matrix on those Ravens. He can disable the siege tanks if the opportunity presents itself and potentially take a good trade. And in fact, that's what he's going to do. The siege tank on the high ground does unsiege in time, but the one on the low ground will fall, and this is going to allow Cure to kind of bunny hop his way into a very dangerous position. This is really far forward right now. He's going to siege up. Marines coming in on the flank, but is there going to be enough here for GuMiho? I don't think so.
Yeah, I think Cure might have actually pierced his defenses, and now the last tank is going to fall. Meanwhile, Cure has so much. I mean, this is huge right now. The tank count far superior here for Cure as he continues to advance in this position. The tank's going to siege up again. This time, some of those tanks even in range of the other tank.
Yeah, Medevac's lifting up the SCVs to try to evac them from this situation. Now, there are some Vikings out here for GuMiho, but he really has to focus on just stopping this push in its tracks. The Ravens, I believe they did fall during all of that battle, so no more interference matrix. And actually, GuMiho is just going to stim and pull the SCVs and try and break this. I think that's a mistake.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. And now we got some more tanks here in the back, continuing to get pushed further and further away here from GuMiho. Keep in mind, a drop into the main is also a very real threat. And you can see already GuMiho is starting to wrap some of his infantry around it just to preempt that. But at wherever GuMiho is going to go, Cure's just going to try to go in the opposite direction. Another move out.
Now GuMiho coming in once again, and it's Stimmarine against Stimmarines. The upgrades are mostly equal, but Cure just with the overwhelming mass and the better arc is just going to be able to wipe the floor with all these SCVs, all these Marines. And the supplies, they're very even, but I like the way that Cure is playing this one right now. I mean, he's getting so much damage done on GuMiho. GuMiho's worker lead has completely evaporated, and he is so on the back foot. And plus, these barracks trying to rally down into the natural expansion. The Marines just keep getting shelled by the siege tanks here on the low ground.
Yeah, and until these tanks are taken out, these Marines are driven out, there's no way to recover this position. Look, he's so good at staying on top of the scans. Cure is so perfect when it comes to preemption. The main's still getting dealt a lot of damage, more infantry coming down. We do have another base fresh out of the oven there at the top left. No mules, no SCVs mining from that for now.
GuMiho trying to stabilize, and these Vikings are really assisting that quite a bit. Having these Vikings to secure vision, and man, GuMiho, that's a big play. 3 or 4 full medevacs moving cross map immediately. Cure is unaware, and GuMiho perhaps maybe second guessing himself a little bit. He brought them back for a moment and then decided to fully commit.
Well, he did have success earlier when he tried to pick up and move around, and he actually ended up getting that flank off on the tank. I don't know if he can do it this time around. But you can see that really Cure hasn't expanded into what would be the weaker area, right? He didn't expand up into 12 and, eventually 1 o'clock. Instead, he's sort of stayed onto the right side of the map in growth, and so it's hard to actually go around this big pushing army, and he's going to push in again. He may try to go for the main once more.
If he can anchor a position down at the triangle third and lift into the main base, that's going to be really tough for GuMiho to deal with, and that seems like it's exactly what he's going to try and do. Only 1 siege tank here for GuMiho in the main. as he's posturing outside the third base and looking for a counterattack of his own. Actually, GuMiho, I think he's going for a base trade. Look at this on the map.
GuMiho's just going to try to see what he can do, but already so much of the infrastructure is going to be damaged. Meanwhile, there's enough siege tanks here, I think, to meet comfortably the counterattack here from GuMiho, but GuMiho takes another huge counterattack up here.
Yeah, another really big stim coming through. I don't think there are any medevacs assisting this army that's attacking the third base, but GuMiho will be able to take it out. Supplies massively in favor of Cure right now as he's going to try and hold on to the defense between the natural expansion and the third. GuMiho was eventually able to clean up the attack in his main base, but now the natural expansion is vulnerable. GuMiho once again hunting for another base to take down, but at the end of the day, I'm starting to like Cure's position more and more. As these economies slowly dwindle, the army supply is going to matter significantly more. And actually, GuMiho, he's fixated on that high ground base, and in fact, it's the attack coming in from the top side. Cure able to clean him up.
I mean, those tanks were too exposed, but honestly, once Cure got the tanks set up inside the, where they could hit the main and the Marines were able to drop there, like that's so much damage for what you're producing. At that moment, it's totally acceptable for Cure to throw SCVs into the fight just to trade it out so he can remake those SCVs later and stabilize his position. So for now, it's going to be a 1-0 lead for Cure.
Interesting build coming out from GuMiho, though. I loved the Marauder opening. That was 5 or 6 Marauders with medevacs. Fast concussive shell in his stem. Was able to get some good value early for GuMiho, but one of the problems with an opening like that one is you don't have interference matrix. You don't have 2 Ravens the same way that Cure did. And although Cure was battered and bruised in the early game, once he moved across map in the mid game, you can really demolish a defensive position with interference matrix as the attacking player, as Cure just did. And you can see GuMiho, once those siege tanks got disabled, he really had no answer for the full push coming in from Cure. And that was kind of the domino just starting to fall that led to his defeat. I wonder if he'll go for a similar opening there in game number 2. We'll have to wait and see what GuMiho brings to game 2 now. Match point. Cure 1 map win away from heading to the semi-finals.
GuMiho. Cure.
Okay. I really am still surprised at how weird the openings were, I guess, for what we were expecting, where it was like GuMiho preempting Cyclones and the Cyclones coming from Cure. I don't know if it's going to happen again. I don't know how widespread mass Cyclone usage is in TVT yet here in Korea with these players. Time will tell.
I think it's trending upwards. The Cyclone's a very good unit still in terms of its all-around defensive capabilities, but it falls off in the mid-game. So there's something to be said about blind countering it as GuMiho did. I would be curious to see how GuMiho's Marauder opening with medevacs would line up against really any other opening that Cure might have done, because it's something that we don't see too often here in Korea, these Marauder openings in TVT. But I wouldn't be surprised if one or both players opted for Cyclones just to solidify the early game. It's no longer the Swiss Army knife of defense that it once was in the pre-patch, but still having something with a moving shot, with a 6 range that leashes all the way up to 9 and has fairly reasonable DPS at a low cost that you're able to produce out of a reactor factory quite early. It's one of the best all-around units you can make in a TVT starting out, where there isn't too much that can just catch you off guard and get game-ending damage in, right? So if you want to get into the mid-game safely, it's a great way to open up.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot you can do early on with it. There's a lot of, you know, it's like if they're not going to respect it and be ready for it, there's just so much that you can put them through. Now, this Reaper actually loses the duel, kind of insane. And so Cure has another small victory, a little feather in his cap. And we are going to have GuMiho open up with the first Cyclone coming out now.
Actually, a Hellion here for Cure first. As both players have their command centers underway. GuMiho and Cure both building them on the low grounds is... I don't think Cure should be able to get too much done with his Hellion and 2 Reaper push, but
No,
I am
think you're right.
curious, because GuMiho did lose that opening Reaper, right? And the Cyclone does kind of anchor the defense here on the low ground quite well. So we'll see Cure start to push forward. Maybe if that SCV had RNG'd its way all the way up to the top left of the command center, he would have been able to pick it off, but not this time.
Okay, does shoot down one Cyclone, gets the revenge, gets the kill there. What's more important about who got what? It's you have to remember that the map is more ambiguous here for GuMiho. He's not able to scout and check what's going on here. You don't want to be burning through scans this early on in the game. Both sides will have their command centers on the low ground finish up. It looks like it's probably going to be the classic comps of tank bio, but let's hold out the possibility that we might see some more kind of weird mech stuff. GuMiho does mech a little bit TVT. I mean, he mechs sometimes in all the matchups, but just curious to see if we're going to have anything like that this time around.
I'm actually liking GuMiho's opening a little bit more here than what we're seeing from Cure. Going for the siege tanks very early out of that factory. Cure, I'm pretty sure, doesn't even have a tech lab on that factory just yet, and he's trying to hold the top of that ramp in case GuMiho moves across the map on the ground with his units, but in fact, Cure is just going to be wildly out of position for the Cyclone, both at the... Okay, GuMiho does pull back, but this one in the main base, there is nothing here to defend for Cure. His units are basically in the middle of the map. He's going to have to use this Cyclone and the medevac and pull some SCVs, but the siege tank immediately focuses it down. Marines are now going to drop on top of the siege tank, and although Cure will be able to clean this up, 6 SCVs already going down. Now, my question is, how much damage is Cure going to be able to get done on the other side of the map? Because the Cyclone now hitting the natural expansion means even more damage is going to come in, and this siege tank really shelling those Cyclones. Cure is getting a beating here.
Yeah, he was unable to really get that tank on the high ground. That was super clutch. And now he's going to lose his infantry units while he retreats. The command center's been lifted. Cure's already in dire straits. He's really hurting right now. In fact, the counterattack from GuMiho is starting to sweep across the map and clear out the other remaining units that Cure has. This game could fall flat on its face here for Cure if he's not able to stabilize in the next few minutes.
Yeah, GuMiho, once he stims this, I gotta keep saying it, stims the medevac on top of these Marines, is able to get 2 of them. And every unit is critical here for Cure in terms of defense. He has bled out so much early. GuMiho up 10 army supply at this stage in the game, when most of that army supply is in siege tanks, is massive. There's only 1 Raven on the field here for Cure. I don't believe there is interference matrix research just yet. And GuMiho once again sieging up in the main base. Big shot on those Marines.
And this tank is going to fall here. With the Cyclone and the other tank already here, it's going to be a lot to hack and saw your way through.
Oh, he's a tank.
Yeah, he's got another one on their low ground. He's going to try to clean this up as well, but he's got to be careful. Reinforcements continue to come. And with no tank actually available right now, this could be a big problem. I think GuMiho could really start to spiral this damage out of control. You can also get the kill on the tank right as it spawns.
That said, GuMiho just going to go for the add-on, minimize the production out of the barracks, and Cure, by the way, right now is throwing down a 3rd command center in his main base, so that's some kind of bravery for him. We'll see if he can hold on.
Oh my God, really good job with the auto turret, so smart. The spread of SCVs and Marines will eventually clean this up, but the damage continues to come out.
Those SCVs very low on HP. GuMiho once again boosting his medevacs into the main base. This
now,
is the spot in the 3rd command center.
There may be a point of diminishing returns. Like eventually when you have 1 tank, like sieging up like this, it's like, well, this can't go on forever, right? Eventually there is a thing called overextending. I think we might be past that point now. When 1 Marine and 1 tank are in a medevac and you're ahead, you could turn around.
Yeah, I think GuMiho just a little bit over-eager there, but
yeah.
Still, he's forcing energy out of Cure's Ravens, which is very good considering Cure is now getting interference matrix set up. The infrastructure for Cure kind of dismal back at home. He's only just now adding on barracks number 2 and 3. And let's not forget that GuMiho, his 3rd command center, it's already done. It's already on the low ground. He's adding on his 4th and 5th barracks. There are double reactors almost done on his 2nd and 3rd rack. So even though there was a little bit of an overextension there for GuMiho, I don't mind it too much considering the setup he is going for right now back at home, because his economy is going to get online so much faster than Cure's that I feel like in a couple of minutes, if GuMiho moves across the map and tries to get something done, it's going to be hard for Cure, even with Interference Matrix, to really stem the tide.
GuMiho's position is so healthy. Although in some ways I'm kind of intimidated by how good Cure is at defending all that. Like throwing the third command center down while you're getting harassed like that, where it's like, well, I got to not only hold this, I have to catch up in bases. I got to start landing mules and getting SCVs out here and just holding off with even less than I could have if I invested all that money into just more infrastructure immediately.
Yeah, but truly everything is going GuMiho's way.
Yeah, well, I think this game's probably going to end with a GuMiho win unless Cure does something insane.
As far as upgrades go, GuMiho started his 1-1 far earlier than Cure did. I believe Cure's upgrades maybe only about a quarter of the way complete, as you see infantry weapons and infantry armor level 1 about to complete here for GuMiho. So the window of attack that he's going to have to utilize these upgrades is massive, and I think GuMiho knows it. He's trying to line up the attack right in time with that, and he's also getting double Viking production right out of the gate. So he wants to slow push this position here for Cure and do not allow him to take a third base. And even with Interference Matrix here on the side of the Red Terran, I am not sure he's going to be able to stop this push. I mean, just look at the RV supplies right now. 74 for GuMiho to 55 for Cure, and the Vikings just dominating the skies.
Yeah, and you know, this really forces Cure to do something. If he doesn't, that command center is going to explode. He's being forced to use a lot of his own resources to repair it. The gases can't be mined from without the risk of SCVs getting shelled. And, I mean, this game goes one of two ways. Either GuMiho wins it right now, or Cure is able to stop this push, this siege setup over here, and start to try to get his third base landed. Oh my God, it's so low on HP too.
Oh, I think it might be going down. He's gonna have to lift.
Oh no, but Vikings are in the air too.
All right, so Cure going for a really big play, has 3 full medevacs of Marines. They're actually catching a lot of the reinforcements of GuMiho, but this defensive position set up at the natural expansion will be enough to thwart this attack. The Vikings actually still going after this command center, might be able to take it down. It's on 80 HP. SCV is getting pulled at GuMiho's third base. I think Cure is running out of steam on GuMiho's side of the map. Some SCVs do fall, but keep in mind that upgrade advantage here for GuMiho. It lasted a long time. 25 HP. That command center is dead, man. It is not going to get repaired, is it? It's on 1 HP. 1 HP.
He's got it.
No way. It was literally, I think, 1 HP.
Oh, this is like a bad movie. It's like a bad movie, man.
I thought there was no chance the SCVs were going to repair
Cure just has to win.
Well, he's going for the same idea. He's dropping a ton of Marines outside of his base and wants to kind of go into this almost pseudo base trade. There's no medevacs here for GuMiho's army on the ground. As Cure is going to try and navigate across the map again, and now do you go for a flank on the position outside of your natural, or do you try to continue to hammer GuMiho back at home? I feel like there might not even be a winning answer here for Cure, even if he plays perfectly from this position. What really can be done? He's basically on a 1 base economy. He cannot land that command center. He's going to have to pull the SCVs, come in from the flank side, and try and get out of this position, but GuMiho right now at 170 supply is just going to rinse it.
There is no way that you can recover from this position. Just barely. Got to drive back that 1 tank, but I mean, you have to land the command center. The siege tank was actually in the way, by the way, of where the command center could land. So it looks like we should be going 1-1 here. Yeah, I think we're going to have the final execution coming up here from GuMiho. We have a lot of objects on the mini-map moving up, and this should just be enough to overpower.
I think the kids on the internet, they call this coping. What Cure is doing right now.
Mad cope.
GuMiho on 100+ more supply, about to finish 3 infantry weapons and armor. I mean, Cure, he's 1 map away from going to the semifinals, so I do not fault him on staying in this game at all, but
he's going to give it, you know, everything he's got.
Yeah, I mean, there is a mental side of this too. GuMiho knows that he's in this dominating position, and if Cure can kind of frustrate him in terms of making this kill feel a little bit painful, maybe a little bit embarrassing. Maybe GuMiho's going to be in his head a bit like, the fans are watching this. They're expecting me to be able to close this out. Why haven't I been able to do it? There are some mind games like that that factor in a best of 3.
These players who just won't leave the game and put up a crazy fight no matter what. Well, that was Cure this game. GuMiho takes game 2. We're tied up 1-1, leaving us with only one Terran versus Terran left over, where we see who actually gets out of this group and who goes down to the final match.
I'm really impressed with both players so far in this series. This is a high-level TVT. GuMiho's aggression early on, I love the way that he navigated his build. He went for 1 Cyclone and then just pumped out siege tanks out of that factory non-stop as early as he possibly could. And then just the relentless aggression hamstring Cure so hard in the early game that by the time the pressure was finally off, GuMiho was going up to 5 barracks. He was on 3 command centers, mining fully. Just really a dynamic range of openings coming out of GuMiho and Cure. We'll see what's going to happen here in game 3. I feel like there is no build that is off the table at this point.
I mean, I get ready for anything here. Neither of these guys want to go down to the loser's match either. You want to get out of this phase and into the round of 4. It does seem like if you're able to get enough tanks out, the Cyclone does become obsolete. It's like Cyclone versus Cyclone's arms race until enough of those tanks are there, and then the whole game switches to the next phase of TVT. We're ready to go into the next game, the final game with these two. GuMiho versus Cure. Let's do this.
GuMiho. Cure.
Oh, what do we have here?
Oh, wow. Is it Macarax?
Yeah, it's a Macarax for GuMiho. For a second, I thought Cure was building his also at the third base. It's like the Spider-Man meme, like they're just pointing at each other.
Macaraxing.
But we are going to have a proxy second barracks here for Cure. This is
cool.
This is an arrangement of buildings that almost looks like a Picasso painting on the map. It's like,
I mean, this is, now I wonder, is it possible, I might be, maybe putting myself out on the line here in a way that I don't need to, but is it possible he wants to try to get Marauders out really fast with the second racks and try, because we've had so many moments where there's like Cyclones coming out, and the Cyclone is king when you have enough of them. Like I was saying right before we started, I had more to go, and I'm like, oh, we're actually going to zoom in on the players' faces and get into this. But
I think it's more likely to be 2-Rax Reaper, but I mean, with the way these builds have gone in the first 2 games, really, it feels like anything is possible.
Yeah,
and
it makes me wonder. I guess 2-Rax Reaper is a more, obvious, apparent way to approach this. Now, I don't know how 2-Rax Reaper is going to look when the barracks is hidden on the low ground.
I think it might just be a killing move.
Yeah.
Or if not killing, it could be something that backfires pretty hard for GuMiho going for this proxy barracks. And oh, if this scout comes through for GuMiho, okay, this is huge. If he did not know, this could be a disaster, but now GuMiho, he can ready himself.
Yeah, so this completely changes everything. I was going to say, if you could just get Reapers outside their barracks, they're going to have to lift the barracks up, and by then there's going to be so many Reapers out, it might just snowball the game. But I think this is manageable.
It should be. Cure still hasn't identified there is a barracks on the low ground, but he doesn't see one here in the main base, so he's not sure exactly what is up. And actually, here we go. Oh, that Reaper coming out of the rally, almost able to intercept this one. Cure now caught in the natural expansion. There's no way to go.
Okay, so hold up.
That Macarax suddenly turned from an Achilles heel into an advantage as both the Reapers were Cure. He got so thrown off from the rally that he lost his whole advantage.
Yeah. Well, he gets in there and it's like, okay, where can I intercept the next Reaper? What's my position? And then suddenly a Reaper comes in from behind.
Oh, and Cure, he's trying to do the cheeky thing where he blocks the command center on the low ground.
Too late.
GuMiho's already throwing it down. Man, I was really afraid for GuMiho. If Cure identified where the barracks was outside of the base, he could just easily intercept the reinforcements. It'd be so hard for Cure to defend, but...
Hold the phone, State.
What?
We have a starport as well as a fusion core being made.
Okay,
What
I
is
did
going
not.
on?
I did not have this on my bingo card tonight for GSL. Maybe in TVZ, but GuMiho, he loves his battle cruisers. This is a crazy game. What a best of 3 we are getting treated to. Now, GuMiho did overextend a little bit, pushing across the map with his Reapers, and bled out a bit. And that makes me concerned for him securing this position, but with a second Cyclone about to pop out of that factory, I think he should be fine. Getting his expansion up, and we'll see.
So this is just such an interesting interaction here for the early game. Good control here from GuMiho. He is the Cyclone King. Both Cyclones have to back off at this point in time.
Yeah, GuMiho. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I mean, we're just saying the battle cruiser has started. The command center is going to land. There really isn't anything to deal with the battle cruiser. I think it's possible GuMiho could just kill him here. A lot of your attention, I think, in this phase of the game from Cure's perspective is focused on getting your base set up and being safe versus the Cyclones.
Right.
But in order to do that, like I was saying earlier, you need to get enough tanks. So, but the tanks are obviously useless when a battle cruiser comes in.
I think GuMiho might be moving across the map with these Cyclones and Hellions and trying to kill anything on the ground that can fight the battle cruiser. Try to trade them out with Marines, try to trade them out with Cyclones, or get as much damage done as possible, because we also have the Yamato cannon being researched. Yeah, this is one interaction that I do not know with the new Cyclone, but I'm assuming Yamato cannon one-shots them. I'm pretty sure. I would be surprised if it didn't. And so there's the potential if GuMiho decides to move cross-map. I mean, he is pumping out Hellions. Hellions, at this early stage of the game, they can shred Marines. Are we going to bank the BC? He's going for a second one. This is crazy.
I think he's going to move out. I think he's going to hit him. Otherwise, there might just be enough stuff inadvertently there to take this on.
These units might
he's waiting
synergize.
for the old Yamato gun. Oh, no, he's not.
No, he's not. He's just going to come right in. All right, well, Cure is probably a little bit confused by this. Already 2 Marines getting taken down, as there isn't much here on the ground for Cure. The siege tanks are going to anchor the position a little bit here. GuMiho would love to be able to move in with the Hellions and the Cyclones to try and take out the anti-air.
Third base.
For Cure, and yeah, third base underway. Is he going to Yamato the siege tank? What is the priority here if you're GuMiho?
Oh! It somehow lives. Now you.
Oh. That's not exciting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he can kind of just...
He can do it a couple more times. Cure right now is trying to buy time as best he can.
It does not appear to me that there's a whole lot that you can do to really deal with this. And when the tanks are on siege, I mean, the Marines, you can see they're just not that tanky. Uh-oh. Battle cruiser number 2.
Another siege tank is going to get Yamato'd here in a moment. This is an insane game.
You know, it's funny. You can really see how much the units get stuck on each other when trying to run away from the battle cruiser.
This is a third BC on the way, by the way. Oh, this is awesome.
Oh, he's
Behind it, he's going mech.
This?
This is such a cool game.
This is insane.
I feel like GuMiho is getting very close to reaching a breaking point where he's going to get a ton of damage done on Cure. Cure is bled out. He has 6 Marines right now. He's bled out so many Marines now. Vikings are out. Another Yamato comes in. Siege tanks are getting picked off.
And this is the problem right now for Cure, is that every time he gets to disable, it's great, but when that finishes, usually a Yamato cannon's ready. My brother used to call it Yamato gun. I called it that in casting for a while. People were like, what are you talking about? Why do you call it gun? I'm like, I guess you're right. I guess that's some weird thing we were calling it, and then I got exposed to the whole world, and I didn't know what it was truly called. So the battle cruisers are going to loop around down to the bottom again. I kind of thought they were going to do a little bit more damage, by the way.
I think they got a lot of damage done, actually.
But I thought they were going to do even more.
I think because Cure had so many siege tanks on the ground, the Cellians, I almost said, the Cyclones and the Hellions couldn't merge together and actually catch this run by coming in. The natural expansion, SCVs are clubbing up. Oh, the siege tanks, they get exposed. Yamato's on the 2 full HP ones, and then they power down the low HP one. GuMiho might be going to the round of 4 with this build, and they're going to TP out. My goodness. This is crazy.
A wild game, dude.
This entire series has been awesome. I mean, what are the builds that we've seen from GuMiho? It was game 1, Marauder opening against the Cyclones of Cure. Game 2, Rapid Siege Tank, repeated drops with a Medivacs. And now game 3, Proxy triple Battlecruiser with a Yamato cannon into mech. What a range of TBT. GuMiho is just
really
insane.
Special.
Now, this game is not over yet, but GuMiho is in such a commanding position. Cure's been on the back foot this entire time. He's pumping out pretty much nothing but Vikings and Ravens. And now you have the mech on the ground.
Yeah, and the thing is, the tank count has been so whittled down that now you can straight up tank push into other tanks. There's just not a lot you can do. The Vikings don't really help anymore. The Battlecruisers have never left the game. It reminds me of, like, 5 years ago when we talked about Terran getting up to 3 Battlecruisers versus Zerg, and it's like just a different way to play the game where as long as you don't lose them, you do get value.
Oh, the Hellions and the Natural get another 11 SCVs.
GuMiho has always had a different way of looking at Terran, and I feel like as crazy as Cure's Terran has been today, GuMiho really has stolen the show.
Wow. All right, Disable comes in so that Yamato cannon does get shut down. Blue Flame is done now for GuMiho in this TBT. Siege tank count 8 for GuMiho, 2 for Cure, as the Liberator is going to be the unit that tries to really fend off this assault. I mean, the Yamato cannon, yeah, you're getting the disables off, but the cannon's not fully getting denied. Eventually, it's just going to try and come in again. And Cure, credit to him, he's sustained so much damage. We actually have triple Thor in production here for GuMiho, I think, to deal with the Liberators. This is...
Yeah, I think that, maybe
wow.
Just get rid of the Vikings at the distance. Now, Cure
Yeah,
is
that's a good
still,
point.
he's still alive, okay? It's basically been him almost killed off for, like, the entirety of this game. But a comeback could happen. An overextension could occur here from GuMiho.
It's possible, but GuMiho right now taking his 4th base, adding in 2 more factories. Once the Thors work their way across the map, even taking a 5th base right now is GuMiho. His macro is obscene. And Cure, looking at the army that he has, it's an army that for now can survive, but it's an army that doesn't really have any counterattack potential. It's all about hoping GuMiho overextends and you're able to punish him for that, but this is almost a box art army that we have coming up from GuMiho.
Yeah,
There's
we're getting
Thors
everything.
and battle cruisers and siege tanks.
We just need Tychus somewhere in here. Well, again, the tank count is way better right now for GuMiho. Yamato cannon could pick off a couple more tanks, or in this case, I think they're just going to go for whatever they can get, so Vikings are also acceptable.
There's no way I think that Cure is able to take a 4th base on this map.
No, he's totally boxed in.
Oceanborn is always one of these maps that's kind of difficult for pretty much every race to safely secure a 4th base. That's just one of the features of this one is your 3-base setup. It's quite safe, but beyond that, it's hard to expand and take a 4th. And GuMiho with this mech can just kind of roam across the map, and there really isn't anything that can contest this. I mean, look at this army. It's insane. The Thors can deal with pretty much everything on the ground. It completely nullifies, I think, the Liberators. The battle cruisers just constantly Yamatoing everything, and GuMiho is feeling confident. He's going to actually siege up this position between the natural and the 3rd. This is a big moment in the game. Disable's going down on almost every single siege tank, but it doesn't matter. The standing army here for GuMiho is still so strong. And now the BCs, they pull everything out of position.
Oh my God, that was sick.
They pull all the air out of position. They TP into the natural. And now the Disables, they're mostly gone here at the ramp.
Yeah, these Thors are going ham on the Vikings. But I'll tell you what. Cure is not dead.
Yeah, he's hanging on. It was a little bit of an overextension there for GuMiho, I gotta say. That was a very clever tactic, but
it was probably unnecessary. He probably could have had his 2 extra command centers finish and make this Cure's problem, because now Cure has a counterattack, and I'm actually starting to get a little bit worried here. All the tanks that were accumulated in this game from GuMiho, well, they're gone. I mean, we've got 1 sieged up here, but we know that's not going to last. SCVs are being pulled. Oh my God!
Is Cure bringing
gonna
this
do
back?
the reversal?
Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. GuMiho trying to intercept reinforcements across the map with these battle cruisers. We're watching Thor's fighting landed Vikings.
I know.
It's
It's the giant ground robots versus the flying small robots.
And Kieran might have actually just done it. You called it exactly. He was waiting for GuMiho to go for an overextension. GuMiho possibly overextended a little bit too much there. The natural expansion of Kira, he got a lot of damage done, but he lost the critical tank count that was really the backbone of his army.
Dude,
but
this is insane, man.
I've never seen the TVT play out like this.
Now the Thors are going to go down. The reversal has happened. I mean, the supply is just too low.
GuMiho still mining on basically 4 bases. Is there a world where GuMiho can stabilize from this? I don't know how he's going to be able to clean up these siege tanks. Now the battle cruisers are coming in. They're actually, wait, where are the Vikings? They were on the ground fighting the Thors. How many are left? Oh, is there no more anti-air?
Well, there's Marines coming down. Hold up.
There's only a handful, though. He has 15 Marines in total across the map.
Dude,
all the siege tanks are dying.
This
What
game is actually
happening?
too dramatic. It's too much.
Is this the game of the year, Tasteless?
This might be it. This is wild. Yeah, he gets far enough, and it's like, uh-oh.
This is insane. I feel like I'm a kid at a candy shop, and I'm getting like the best candy, like the $20, like the $20, like, what do you call
You're
those?
getting the
those
most
big,
expensive jelly beans in the candy shop. Dude, this is such an insane game, and it looks like it might have balanced back out. We got to see if Kier can stop this next push that's going to come in here.
So Kier right now, he's building Vikings 5 at a time because he still has no answer to the 2 battle cruisers that are standing. The medevacs, they're very low on HP. Liberator is now coming across the map to try and get some damage done. Unfortunately, that one is going to siege up in range of a missile turret. And now it's GuMiho punishing Kier's overextension. As I feel like this game is so unique that even the players don't really exactly know what to do. And the standing army now for Kier, taking an inventory, is 9 Vikings, 1 Liberator, 6 Marauders, and 9 Marines. No siege tanks to be found. He's trying to build Vikings 5 at a time. And eventually those should be able to deal with the battle cruisers, but how do you deal with a siege tank count now up for GuMiho?
Well, I think that's what's going to probably win the game for GuMiho now, unless this gets even crazier.
Plus the Hellbats, too. I mean, there's almost more siege tanks than Marauders right now.
Yeah, he actually evacuates the battle cruisers, probably to repair back at home. You know, Kier got deep in there with his counterattack, but didn't take out any point of interest.
And
because
I think
there were so many bases that were mining. GG.
Wow, what
GuMiho
an
takes
insane
Dude,
game.
that was by far the best game of the night. I don't know if we can top that.
That might be the best game of GSL this season. That was so
crazy.
Unique. I have never seen a TVT like that one. Kier almost in disbelief on stage, but GuMiho could be the first player to advance to the round of 4 in possibly the most dramatic fashion with one of the most creative and unique builds. That was so cool.
It was really special, and you got to look forward to what he's going to do in future games here in this GSL as he goes to the final day, the round of 4, and potentially the finals if he wins there. We're going to go to that interview now.
축하드립니다. 아, 정말 힘들었죠.
Congratulations.
어떠세요?
감사합니다.
It's
일단
a tough series. How do
이렇게까지
you feel?
힘들게 갈 게임이
Firstly,
아니었는데
thank you.
확실히 요새 김도욱 선수가 잘한다는 게 많이 느껴졌고
I didn't know it was going to be
운영을
this kind of day today.
가다듬긴 해야 될 것 같아요.
네, 오늘 1경기부터 해서
I could also
상대를
feel that Kier is such a
잡아먹는
great
오늘
opponent to play
그리고
against.
빌드까지 만들어 놓고 완벽하게 찍어 놓을 수 있는 상황까지 만들었잖아요. 하지만
You have some
김도욱
very
선수의
creative builds
저항이
today.
만만치가 않았죠.
And you had some very unique situations. For a lot of that last game, you were very ahead of him, but then there was this crisis moment. Tell us about that.
경기도 사실 등에 식은땀이 났거든요.
네.
I think Kier is very good. He's very resilient. He knows how to defend, especially versus Mech Terrence.
200 견적을 좀 잘 못 보는 것 같아요. 저는
As far as mech plays, Terran in general haven't been doing as many mech plays, so I don't have that much practice with mech versus mech. I was pretty flustered when I had to deal with his mech style. I wasn't ready for a Cyclone push earlier in that series either.
경기로 돌아가면 강민 선수
Regardless, though, you overcame.
결국 땡더블 이후에 사이클론 메카닉을 보여주겠다라고 해서 그걸 보여주긴 했거든요.
When you had your match
그걸
against Solar,
뭔가 순간 마지막에 12시 지역 쪽에 병력을 놓치면서 역전패당한 느낌인데
it seems like
지금 완성도 어느 정도 됐나요?
you really showed exactly how to use a mech approach versus Zerg.
제가 항상 느끼는 거지만 이게
What is your evaluation of your own play in that game?
보다 200 채우기가 어려운 게 사실 메카닉이거든요. 근데 200이 되게 약해요. 보면은 그러다 보니까 한 순간
It's really hard
같은데 사이클론 메카닉은
to max out a 200, 200 supply. Much harder to do that than it is with Bionic or Bio style.
갑자기 무리 군주가 눈에 들어와가지고
I don't know that mech always works or is always good.
그래서 좀 실수를 한것
but
같은데 다음부터는 약간
Sometimes when you get in certain situations, it can work well against any player.
쓸수 있지 않을까 싶어요. 진짜 대세가 되긴 좀 힘들 것 같아요.
진짜 최근에 좀 패치가 되고 나서
Anyways, I think Mech still has viability.
그 시즌이 왔다. 스스로도 그런 생각이 좀 들 것 같은데 다시 한번 2연속 4강에 올라갔습니다. 지난 시즌에는 박영우 선수가 아쉽게 패배를 했는데 이번 시즌 어떠세요?
You made it to the semifinals 2 times in a row.
1등으로 올라갔는데
What are your
갑자기
expectations
영우가
going into
2등으로
this
올라오면 약간
semifinals
좀
now?
없었으면 좋겠고 영우랑 하더라도 이제 결승에서 저는 하고 싶거든요.
I made it again,
먼저 하고 싶기도
along
하고.
with last season. Hopefully, I'm not going to see Dark a
제가
second time
생각했을
around.
때 저는 저그가 더 좋은 것 같아서 저그전이 좀 힘들거든요. 저는 솔직히 말하면. 그래서
Even
이제
after the patch,
저그전을 잘 준비해야 될 것 같아요. 그것만
Zerg
하면 우승할 수 있을 것 같아요.
seems to have an upper hand.
야, 이 저그가
But as long as I can perform
누가 올라와도
well in my
지지하는
TVZs,
자신감이
which
좀
by the
있는
way is my
것
weakest
같은데요.
matchup,
자, 그럼 고병재 선수.
I think I could still win. I think I still got a shot.
오늘 경기 정말 많은 응원이 좀 있었던 것 같거든요. 팬분들에게도 한 말씀.
There are so many fans, especially Terran fans, who are huge fans of mech play. Any words to them? Well, I'm almost a little bit disappointed in my play today. I wanted to show really stable execution today, but it was a lot more dramatic than I was hoping it to be. Anyways, I'm going to work hard to have even more improved play. Thank you for cheering for me. Cool. Wow. You see how I fly in like Superman? I'm like, and I'm back. Well, I mean, this was a crazy TVT that we had here. That was some of the best TVT we've had.
That's my
And
favorite.
we've had some very good
TVT.
TVTs
Yeah.
in the last couple seasons, last year as well. But, I mean, my God, how could you not be excited about a game like that? Triple Battle Cruiser, we've seen it before, not in TVT. We saw some very unique plays. I do think GuMiho got a little bit ahead of himself. It's like he was trying to end the game for so long. Eventually, you need to realize, oh, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, just contain on 3 bases maybe.
Yeah, I've got 5 bases. From there, you know, it's actually the opponent's problem. You don't have to just keep trying to kill them. Don't do what they call the win more move.
It made a pretty crazy situation, though, and I think it made the game more unique and fun. But
I'll take the drama. Short break. We come back to ZVZ for the losers match. Do not go away. We will see you soon.
Simon